The owners of this country know the truth. It's called the American dream because you have to be asleep to believe it.
When I think about New York hardcore, I think about Agnostic Front, the godfathers of New York hardcore, who paved the way for so many bands and live this music. You know, people say that hardcore is really not a lifestyle, but actually it's a way of life. It's a mentality. And Agnostic Front, they live it to the fullest.
My roots in hardcore, well, you know, I've been into the hardcore scene from the very beginning. You know, I come from the punk scene and it transformed more into the hardcore scene. But to me, it was always the same, you know, like if you ask me, and people come up to me and say, oh, I love Victim in Pain. It was such a great hardcore record, blah, blah, blah. To me, Victim in Pain was always a punk record. You know, I guess that's a transition right there. How the term hardcore came around mostly was to identify what kind of punk it was. And that's kind of what we fell in, like bands like Agnostic Front, GBH, Exploited, that were more chargier style, more hardcore-ish, you know, Minor Threat, SSD Control, Negative Approach, as opposed to the bands that were doing a little bit, all that, most of the punk scene was kind of getting a little bit more new wave-ish.
I met Roger at CBGB's, you know, I met him in the pit, you know? And it was, you know, of course the scene at the time was like, what, 81, 82, and the scene was smaller, which is, you know, very personal.
I joined the band 2 months later, or maybe even a month later. We were in the studio doing United Blood. I mean, we were just recording. We didn't start up, do a band just to go into the studio and make a record. It's just kind of the way things were, you know, like. It wasn't about picking a good musician, it was about picking a friend and picking somebody that you could relate to. And then, if you pick up the bass, if you could play it, great. If you can't, well, we'll teach you how to play the bass. Of course, as we grew, matured, music changes, evolved, we grew, you know? And we got better. We got better at playing guitar, playing drums, and we don't use pizza boxes no more. And when you hear an Agnostic Front record, you know it's me. And when you hear Stigma playing, you know it's him. And that was what was cool about hardcore back in the 80s. When you heard a band like Negative Approach, you know exactly where they were from. Minor Threat, you know where they're from. SSD Control, you know where they were from. Circle Jerks, Black Flag, everything was unique sounding and everybody had a style. The rest is history. We did United Blood, went and did Victim in Pain. And from that moment in Victim in Pain in the song Power where I yelled Stigma, it's never been the same.